mind. Once you master that, no critic, no betrayal, no setback can destroy you. In this video, we'll uncover 8 unshakable Stoic principles that will transform you from someone who explains, apologizes, and waits for permission into someone who commands respect, walks with quiet confidence, and becomes unstoppable. So, if you're tired of begging for recognition, if you're done letting others dictate your worth, then stay right here, because after this, you'll never see yourself or the world the same way again. Drop this in the comments right now. I refuse to be stopped, because today, you begin your transformation. Right now, whether you admit it or not, you are carrying 2 versions of yourself. One is uncertain, apologetes, and endlessly explaining. The other is confident, decisive, and commands respect without saying a word. The real question is, which one are you feeding? Most people unknowingly starve their powerful self every single day. They give energy to the weaker voice inside the one that says, "Be nice so they'll like you," or say, "Sorry even when you've done nothing wrong," or "Explain yourself, because maybe they'll understand you." But here's the brutal truth. Explaining yourself to people who don't respect you doesn't earn their respect, it destroys it. Think about it. Every time you over-explain, you're saying, "Your opinion matters more than my boundary. Your validation matters more than my clarity. Your comfort matters more than my self-respect." And once you teach people that you're willing to bend, they will never stop testing how far you'll go. The programming of weakness. This didn't start yesterday. It began when you were young. Parents told you to be good. Teachers told you to be obedient. Society trained you to be manageable. But manageable men don't build legacies. Manageable men are forgotten. They exist to serve those who dare to be unmanageable, those who dare to claim their power. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "He who conquers himself is mightier than he who conquers armies." What he meant is simple. If you can't master your own mind, someone else will. If you don't set your own standards, someone else will lower them for you. Your uncertain self is not natural, it's programmed. And every time you choose it, you reinforce the chains that hold you back. The language of power. The uncertain self speaks in apologies. "I'm sorry. I just thought." The confident self speaks in clarity. "That doesn't work for me." The uncertain self rationalizes. "Maybe I misunderstood." The confident self asserts, "I understood perfectly, and this is my line." The uncertain self begs, "I'll give them another chance." The confident self decides they had their chance. It's done. Notice the difference. One voice is reactive. The other is decisive. One is trained to please. The other is trained to lead. Every boundary is a test. Here's something nobody tells you. Every boundary you set is a test, and so is every boundary you fail to enforce. When someone disrespects you and you explain yourself, you fail the test. When you allow repeated violations because you're afraid of conflict, you fail the test. And people notice. They learn that you're easy to manipulate, easy to control, easy to push aside. But when you enforce boundaries with calm confidence, without explaining or apologizing, You pass the test. You communicate without words. I am not someone you play with. And people listen not because you shouted, but because you didn't need to. The transformation process. Transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's a daily choice. Every time you're tempted to over-explain, stop, breathe, say less. Every time you're about to apologize for something that isn't your fault, pause. Replace "I'm sorry" with "Thank you for understanding." Every time you feel the urge to justify your boundary, remind yourself, boundaries don't need explanations, they need enforcement. This is the discipline of self-mastery. And it's not violent, it's strategic. You're not choosing arrogance. You're choosing clarity. You're not choosing coldness. You're choosing self-respect. The more you do this, the more the confident self grows. Soon, you won't even recognize the apologetic version of you. He'll feel like a shadow from another life, a life where you were small, overlooked, and ignored. Why this matters? You cannot move forward in life until you conquer the war inside. If you're still letting the uncertain self run the show, no external victory will ever last. Money won't fix it. Relationships won't fix it. Achievements won't fix it. Because if you still walk through life begging for respect, every victory will feel temporary. But once you transform the uncertain self into the confident self, you become unshakable. Disrespect bounces off you. Manipulation no longer touches you. You stop begging to be understood and start commanding to be respected. And from that moment on, you are no longer controllable. You are unstoppable. So, ask yourself, which self are you feeding today? The one that apologizes for existing, or the one that stands tall without explanation? The choice is yours. Drop this in the comments right now. My uncertain self is dying. My confident self is rising. Your mind is either your greatest ally or your most dangerous enemy. For most people, it's the enemy. Their thoughts are fragile. Every insult pierces them. Every rejection breaks them. Every setback makes them crumble. And because their mind has no walls, every storm from the outside becomes a storm on the inside. But if you want to be unstoppable, you must build what I call a fortress mind, a mental stronghold so solid that nothing from the outside can invade it. The weak mind versus the fortress mind. The weak mind reacts. Someone criticizes them, and they immediately feel worthless. Someone disrespects them, and they spiral into anger. Someone ignores them, and they beg for attention. Their emotions are like wild horses dragging them into chaos. The fortress mind responds, not reacts. Criticism becomes information, not injury. Disappointment becomes confirmation, not devastation. Rejection becomes redirection, not destruction. Marcus Aurelius captured this perfectly. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. The weak mind hands over power. The fortress mind keeps it. How the fortress mind sees the world. When someone insults you, the weak mind asks, why would they say that about me? The fortress mind asks, what does this reveal about them? When a friend betrays you, The weak mind cries, "How could they do this to me?" The fortress mind says, "They just showed me who they really are." When life tests you with setbacks, the weak mind collapses under pressure. The fortress mind leans into the fire, knowing that pressure is the forge of strength. The fortress mind doesn't see events as good or bad. It sees them as data. Every interaction is a lesson. Every conflict reveals character. Every disappointment teaches clarity. Practical steps to build the fortress. 1. Separate emotion from interpretation. Anger isn't a command, it's a signal. Pain isn't weakness, it's feedback. Fear isn't paralysis, it's information that growth is near. The fortress mind doesn't silence emotions, but it never lets them drive the car. 2. Pause before reacting. Epictetus taught, we cannot control what happens to us, only how we respond. That pause between stimulus and response is the wall of your fortress. Build it, guard it, use it. 3. Expect betrayal. Expect opposition. Most people get blindsided because they expect the world to be fair. The fortress mind expects resistance. So when it comes, it's not shocking, it's confirmation. 4. Reframe setbacks into strategy. Lost money, lesson learned about trust. Lost friendship, lesson learned about loyalty. Lost opportunity, proof that you're being redirected to something greater. Why most people fail. The average man builds his life on sand. He looks for validation in other people's opinions, in likes, in gossip, in praise. When that validation disappears, so does his sense of self. That's why people get destroyed by rumors, ghosting, or criticism. They've built no fortress. But the Stoics knew better. They trained their minds every single day to remain calm when the world shook. They practiced poverty, hunger, even rejection, not because they loved suffering, but because they refused to be ruled by fear of it. They became untouchable because nothing external controlled their internal state. Living with the fortress mind. Imagine walking into any situation and knowing, no one can shake me. Someone insults you. You smile, because you see their insecurity. Someone betrays you. You remain calm, because you expected it. Someone doubts you. You get stronger, because their doubt fuels your fire. That's the power of the fortress mind. You stop being fragile glass and become unbreakable stone. The transformation building. A fortress mind isn't about becoming cold or emotionless. It's about becoming unshakable. You still feel love, joy, and gratitude, but you don't let fear, anger, or insecurity run your life. You still connect with people, but you don't collapse when they disappoint you. You still dream big, but you don't quit when challenges come, because challenges will come. The fortress mind doesn't hope for a storm-free life. It trains to remain steady in the storm. The loudest man in the room is almost always the weakest. He talks because he's nervous. He explains because he's insecure. He argues because he's desperate for approval. The strong man, he doesn't need noise. He doesn't need to convince. He doesn't need to explain. His silence says more than words ever could. Silence is not weakness. It is the highest form of control. It unsettles enemy, confuses manipulators, and forces respect from those who don't understand you. Why silence is power. Think about it. What happens when someone insults you and you don't react? They expect anger, explanation, or defense, but instead, you give them nothing. Your silence becomes a mirror, forcing them to sit with their own words. Suddenly, they feel the weight of their own weakness. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best answer to anger is silence." He understood that responding to provocation only gives power to the one provoking you. By refusing to play the game, you win it. When you don't explain yourself, people assume you don't need to. When you don't defend yourself, people assume you're beyond attack. Silence creates mystery. Mystery creates power. The trap of over-explaining. Weak men explain themselves endlessly. I only did that because you misunderstood me. Let me clarify what I meant. Every explanation is a surrender. You're telling the other person their opinion has the authority to demand justification. You're lowering yourself to their level. Here's the truth. People who truly respect you don't need explanations. People who demand them don't deserve them. The Stoic way of silence. Epictetus taught, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Silence is not emptiness. It's observation. While others are talking, you're gathering information. While others are reacting, you're calculating. While others are burning energy, you're conserving strength. Your silence lets you see the truth behind words. You hear not just what people say, but what they reveal unintentionally, their fear, their insecurity, their motives. Strategic uses of silence. 1. When provoked, don't give them what they want. Your silence becomes a wall they can't break through. 2. When pressured, don't rush decisions. Let your silence create discomfort. Often, people reveal more when they can't handle the quiet. 3. When accused, don't defend yourself against lies. Lies die without oxygen. Truth stands without your voice. 4. When negotiating, after you state your position, stay silent. Let the other side squirm and fill the space. You'll often get more than you asked for. What happens when you master silence? At first, people will test you harder. They'll push, provoke, and try to break your calm. But when they realize your silence is unshakable, they stop. They begin to respect you. They begin to fear disappointing you. They begin to recognize that your silence carries more weight than their shouting ever could. Seneca once wrote, "To be silent at the right time is the art of great minds." And that's exactly what silence is, an art. Most people never master it because they're too addicted to being liked, too afraid of being misunderstood, too desperate for approval. But once you embrace silence, you'll notice something extraordinary. People start listening more carefully when you finally do speak. Your words gain weight because you don't waste them. Every sentence lands like a hammer, not because it's louder, but because it's rarer. The transformation silence doesn't make you invisible. It makes you undeniable. It tells the world, I don't need validation. I don't need permission. I don't need to be understood by everyone. And ironically, this detachment makes people chase your approval even more. They wonder what you're thinking. They overanalyze your calm. They respect the control they can't break. Here's a truth many never accept: you will be betrayed, disappointed, and let down. Your closest friend may put their interests above your friendship. A family member may choose selfishness over loyalty. A partner may choose comfort over commitment. Most people collapse when this happens. They waste months replaying the betrayal, obsessing over why, and drowning in bitterness. But the Stoics saw disappointment differently, not as a wound to mourn, but as information to master. Setbacks are reality, not accidents. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you are distressed by an external thing, it is not the thing itself that troubles you, but your judgment about it, the betrayal, the lie, the loss. It hurts because you judged it as abnormal, unfair, or undeserved. But human nature is not flawless. Machiavelli said, men are ungrateful, fickle, false, cowardly, covetous. Once you understand this, disappointment stops shocking you. You don't fall apart when people show their true nature. You expect it. And expectation transforms pain into clarity. The gift, hidden in disappointment. Every setback carries a hidden gift, the gift of revelation. The betrayal shows you who values loyalty and who doesn't. The disrespect shows you who cannot handle your boundaries. The loss shows you what you depended on too heavily. Without the setback, you would still be blind. With it, you see truth with painful clarity. This is the alchemy of Stoicism, turning pain into wisdom, turning wounds into insight. How setbacks forge strength. 1. They force resilience. Each disappointment is training. If you rise once, you'll rise faster next time. Like steel hammered by fire, you become harder, sharper, and more reliable. 2. They refine judgment. Betrayal teaches you who to trust. Disrespect teaches you where to set firmer boundaries. Every painful lesson saves you from greater harm later. 3. They harden discipline. When life wounds you, you have two choices: collapse into victimhood or discipline your mind to endure. The Stoic chooses the second and finds power where others see only pain, turning pain into strategy. A weak man reacts to setbacks emotionally. He cries, rages, explains. But the Stoic strategist asks, what does this teach me? What patterns are revealed here? How do I use this disappointment as leverage when a friend gossips about you? Note it. If they betray once, they'll betray again. Protect yourself. When a partner disrespects you, don't explain your boundaries. Enforce them. If they value you, they'll adjust. If they don't, you've saved yourself years of wasted time. Sometimes the best response is distance, cutting ties cleanly and silently. No second chances, no debates, just removal. Other times, the best response is patience, remembering what they did, waiting, and letting their own weakness expose them at the perfect time. Why setbacks prove you're rising. Here's the paradox: the higher you climb, the more disappointment you'll face. Why? Because average people rarely betray those beneath them. They betray those above them, those they envy, those who've achieved what they secretly desire. If people have let you down, it's not always proof of your weakness. It's often proof of your growing strength. They wouldn't envy, undermine, or betray you if you weren't becoming someone worth noticing. Wear betrayal like a scar. It means you're in the arena, not watching from the stands. The transformation. Most men let setbacks make them bitter. The Stoic lets setbacks make him better. Where others see wounds, ici les sons. Where others collapse, he builds. Where others cry, he calculates. Epictetus taught difficulties show what men are. The same blow that breaks a fragile man for life becomes the hammer that forges an unshakable one. And when you've been betrayed, yet still rise. When you've been left behind, yet still move forward. When you've been disappointed by all and yet remain standing, that's when you become unstoppable. Criticism is unavoidable. No matter how wise you are, how disciplined you become, or how noble your intentions, there will always be voices that try to diminish your worth. Weak men fight these voices with arguments. Strong men silence them with results. Why arguing is futile. When someone criticizes you unfairly, your first instinct is to defend yourself, to prove them wrong, to explain your intentions. But here's the trap: by explaining, you put yourself on trial. You elevate their opinion to the level of authority. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The opinion of 10,000 men is of no value if none of them know anything about the subject." Why give weight to words from people who have never walked your path, sacrificed your nights, or fought your battles? Every second you spend explaining is energy stolen from building. Every minute you waste arguing is a minute you could have invested in mastery. The Stoic response to critics. A Stoic doesn't beg to be understood. He acts with clarity, then lets the results prove his vision. He knows what Epictetus meant when he said, "Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it." They question your discipline, show them consistency they could never sustain. They doubt your skill, produce work that outlasts their doubts. They mock your silence. Let your silence become the prelude to undeniable action. The critics feed on your reaction. Deny them that meal. Starve them with indifference. Leave them to choke on their own words while your success rises beyond their reach. Excellence as a weapon. Excellence is not just skill, it is silence sharpened into influence. When you consistently outperform expectations, your very existence humiliates those who doubted you. When you rise above their gossip, their words shrivel into envy. When your discipline builds something enduring, their complaints become echoes no one remembers. This is why Machiavelli wrote, "Fortune is the arbiter of half of our actions, but she still leaves us to direct the other half." You cannot control whether critics exist, but you can control how you respond by directing your energy into unshakable excellence. The transformation of criticism into envy. At first, they'll laugh at you. Then, they'll doubt you. But when you refuse to argue and keep building, something strange happens. Their criticism morphs into envy. The man who mocked your discipline begins to resent that he lacks your results. The friend who dismissed your standards begins to secretly admire them. The critic who once shouted becomes silent. Not because you convinced him, but because your excellence crushed the ground beneath his words. Envy is disguised respect, and the only way to earn it is to make success undeniable. Practical Stoic strategies. 1. Don't defend. Demonstrate. If they question your work ethic, don't respond. Outwork them. Let time reveal the truth. 2. Let results accumulate. 1 victory can be called luck. 10 victories become proof. Discipline makes your success unarguable. 3. Treat criticism as data. Not all critics are enemies. Some expose weaknesses you can refine. Instead of reacting emotionally, observe them strategically. Extract what's useful. Discard the rest. 4. Stay silent in the storm. Critics thrive on conflict. Your silence denies them relevance. Your focus denies them power. When excellence becomes untouchable, a man who has mastered himself, who disciplines his craft, and who builds relentlessly, becomes immune to noise. He doesn't need to argue his life is the argument. He doesn't need to shout his results thunder louder than words. Seneca reminded us, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. If your critics seek to drag you into pettiness, rise above by refusing the invitation. If they seek to provoke weakness, show them strength through composure. Let your legacy be the answer to every doubt. Let your achievements be the reply to every insult. Let your quiet excellence silence the loudest voices. Reputation is not an accessory. It is your armor, your currency, your silent bodyguard in every room you walk into. Before you utter a single word, before you make a single move, people have already judged you. That judgment determines whether they treat you with respect or with disregard. Most men leave this to chance. They walk through life hoping people will see their heart or eventually understand them. But Stoics and every great strategist from Marcus Aurelius to Machiavelli knew better. They understood that reputation is not left to chance. It is shaped, guarded, and weaponized with precision. The first 7 seconds research shows it takes only seconds for people to form an opinion about you. Your posture, your presence, your energy. These things announce who you are before your words even arrive. Seneca warned, a man is as he is seen. Ask yourself, what does your presence communicate? Do you enter a room like someone who commands it or someone seeking permission to exist? The truth is brutal if you look uncertain. You will be treated as uncertain. If you project strength, you will be treated as strong. Reputation as a silent weapon. Your reputation precedes you. It's the story people tell about you when you're not present. It's the unspoken expectation others carry when you enter their space. If your reputation is one of weakness, you will always be underestimated. If your reputation is one of volatility, you will never be trusted. But if your reputation is one of composure, discipline, and silent authority, you will be respected before you even speak. Machiavelli put it bluntly, men judge more by the eye than by the hand. People care less about your intentions and more about what they see you project. They don't wait to get to know you deeply. They decide in the moment, based on signals you control. How to build a reputation that commands respect. 1. Guard your words, speak less. When you talk too much, You reveal too much. Mystery is magnetic. A man who doesn't explain every thought creates an aura of depth. 2. Control your reactions. The way you handle disrespect, shouts, or pressure defines your reputation more than your achievements. If you stay composed when others lose control, people will see you as unshakable. 3. Be consistent. Reputation dies when your public and private selves contradict each other. Live by the same standards, whether in solitude or under the spotlight. Stoicism teaches character is who you are when no one is watching. 4. Use boundaries. As branding, people respect what you tolerate. If you allow disrespect once, you train others to continue it. If you enforce boundaries consistently, your reputation becomes one of unbending standards. 5. Let competence speak. Be excellent at what you do. A man who delivers results without boasting doesn't need to beg for recognition. Competence builds a reputation that even critics can't deny. The psychology of perception. Humans are pattern seekers. They don't remember every word you said, but they remember how you consistently carried yourself. They don't recall each detail of your work, but they remember whether you always delivered or always disappointed. This is why reputation must be curated deliberately. It is the sum of repeated impressions, not isolated acts. One failure can be forgiven, but repeated inconsistency becomes your label. One act of strength can inspire, but repeated discipline becomes your legend. When reputation protects you, a powerful reputation functions like a shield. People think twice before disrespecting you because they've already seen or heard what happens when someone does. Allies trust you more because your name carries weight. Opportunities seek you out because your reputation travels faster than you do. Marcus Aurelius lived by this truth. Though he ruled as emperor, he was respected not only for his position, but for his reputation of wisdom, restraint, and inner mastery. His words carried weight because his life had already proven them. Practical Stoic applications. In conflict, don't rush to defend yourself. A calm silence strengthens your reputation far more than desperate justification. In leadership, set the tone with presence before words. Your body language should declare certainty before your mouth speaks it. In daily life, act as though your reputation is being written at every moment because it is. The final truth: reputation is fragile, but once solidified, it becomes self-sustaining. People will defend it for you, repeat it for you, and spread it further than you ever could. That is why you must treat it as sacred. Do not let gossip shape your narrative. Do not let inconsistency corrupt it. Do not let carelessness undo it. Build it with intention. Protect it with silence. Strengthen it with action. And remember, your reputation is not who you say you are. It's who the world believes you are. Make that image untouchable. Excellence is not an event. It is not something you summon when the spotlight shines on you. It is not something you switch on when you feel like it. Excellence is a discipline, an unbreakable code you live by, even in the unseen moments when no one is watching. The world is full of men who rise only when others are looking. They act strong in public, but weak in private. They demand respect in words, but compromise their standards in deeds. Such men cannot be trusted, cannot be followed, and cannot last. Stoicism rejects this hypocrisy. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Excellence, then, is not about appearances, it's about consistency. It's about turning virtue into a habit so ingrained that even in solitude, you cannot betray yourself. Excellence begins in the invisible true. Strength is forged in the moments no one notices, waking up when you promised yourself you would, completing the difficult task before seeking comfort, saying no to distractions when nobody would know if you gave in. These invisible victories accumulate and over time, they form the foundation of a character that is unshakable, while others collapse under pressure. The disciplined man thrives because he has trained himself in the small battles long before the big ones arrived. Seneca wrote, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." Preparation is discipline. Opportunity is meaningless without it. The enemy of excellence, comfort. Comfort is seductive, but it is the silent assassin of greatness. A man who always seeks comfort becomes predictable. Predictability makes him manageable. Manageability makes him forgettable. Excellence requires war against comfort, not because comfort is inherently evil, but because comfort breeds complacency, and complacency is the death of influence. When others choose the soft bed, you choose the early rise. When others indulge, you restrain. When others procrastinate, you act. Each choice feels small, but each is a brick in the fortress of your character. The Stoic practice of discipline. For the Stoics, discipline was sacred. It was not punishment, but liberation. By disciplining your body, you free your mind. By disciplining your time, you free your future. By disciplining your emotions, you free your destiny. Here's how Stoic discipline looks in practice. 1. Do the hard thing first. Train your will by tackling the hardest task at the start of your day. It reminds you that your feelings are not in control, you are. 2. Keep your word. Every broken promise to yourself erodes your confidence. Every kept promise fortifies it. Excellence begins with integrity toward yourself. 3. Build small routines. Guard them fiercely. Your excellence isn't in grand gestures, it's in daily rituals, reading, training, reflecting, working. Protect them as if they were sacred. 4. Embrace discomfort intentionally. Cold showers, fasting, physical training. These practices remind you that luxury doesn't own you. You are free from dependency. Why discipline creates influence? Excellence creates an aura. People respect those who consistently operate above average, not because they announce it, but because it's undeniable. Think of the soldier whose uniform is always immaculate, whose movements are precise, whose words are few but firm. His discipline inspires trust. He doesn't need to brag. His presence communicates reliability. Now compare him with the man who makes excuses, who cuts corners, who says one thing and does another. His reputation is inconsistency. No one follows him by choice. Excellence, then, is not just personal power, It's social power. People naturally align with disciplined men because they are rare, because they are dependable, and because their lives are evidence of mastery, daily excellence. Lifelong power. Machiavelli observed fortune favors the disciplined. Success is not an accident. It is engineered through rituals of excellence repeated daily. Every day, you choose discipline. You sharpen your mind, strengthen your body, and harden your spirit. Every day you compromise. You dull your edge. The choice is always before you. And here lies the Stoic paradox. Discipline feels restrictive in the moment, but over time it gives you ultimate freedom. Freedom from weakness, freedom from regret, freedom from dependency. The Stoic command. Ask yourself, what are your non-negotiables? What are the standards you will never compromise? No matter how tired, no matter who's watching, no matter what it costs. Because men without non-negotiables are slaves to their feelings, to their environment, to the opinions of others. But men with unshakable standards become untouchable. Their reputation precedes them, their influence expands naturally, and their legacy lasts beyond their life. The final word, excellence, is not built in dramatic victories. It is built in the unseen moments where you choose discipline over desire. Over time, these choices accumulate until you have become something extraordinary. A man who doesn't just pursue greatness, but embodies it. When life tests you, as it always will, the disciplined man succeeds while the comfortable man collapses. One has prepared, the other has procrastinated. One has built resilience, the other has built excuses. One becomes influential, the other becomes invisible. Excellence is not what you occasionally do, it's who you relentlessly are. Make it your discipline. Make it your identity. Make it your weapon. There comes a moment in every person's life when they must decide whether to remain bound by limitations or to transcend them completely. This is not a decision about wealth, status, or even recognition. It is a decision about identity. Will you remain the man who explains, who compromises, who waits? Or will you become the man who cannot be held back, broken, or stopped? Becoming unstoppable is not about arrogance. It is not about invincibility in the physical sense. It is about building such an inner foundation of strength, discipline, and wisdom that no external force can dictate your destiny. The storms may rage, the critics may shout, the betrayals may come, but you remain immovable, like a fortress built on unshakable stone. Marcus Aurelius once declared, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. That sentence contains the seed of becoming unstoppable, for the man who rules himself can never be ruled by anyone else. The independence of mind. To be unstoppable means you no longer depend on external validation. Praise does not inflate you. Criticism does not deflate you. You live by your principles, not by public approval. This independence makes you unpredictable, and unpredictability is power. People cannot manipulate you when you are no longer controlled by their reactions. They cannot bribe you with applause or weaken you with rejection. You are free, and freedom terrifies those who wish to control. Carl Jung wrote about individuation, the process of becoming a complete self rather than a fragment shaped by society. To be unstoppable is to individuate fully, to integrate your shadows, discipline your impulses, and stand whole. You become a force, not because you shout louder, but because you no longer need to shout at all, turning setbacks into weapons. Every unstoppable figure in history carried scars. The Stoics knew this. Suffering is inevitable. But what you do with suffering defines you. When betrayal cuts you, you use it to sharpen your boundaries. When loss empties you, you use it to deepen your gratitude. When failure humbles you, you use it to refine your methods. An unstoppable man does not see setbacks as roadblocks. He sees them as raw material for greatness. He understands that obstacles are not interruptions to his path. They are the path. Epictetus taught, difficulties show what men are. If challenges destroy you, you were never strong. If challenges forge you, then each trial becomes proof of your destiny. The aura of unstoppability. When you reach this state, something strange happens. You don't have to announce your power, it radiates. People feel it in your presence. They lower their voices. They measure their words. They treat you differently without knowing why. This aura does not come from intimidation. It comes from mastery. It comes from the discipline of years. The silence you've wielded as a weapon. The standards you've upheld without compromise. It is the aura of someone who cannot be shaken because he has already conquered himself. Machiavelli wrote, "He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior." The unstoppable man does not need an army. His mind is the fortress. His silence is the sword. His discipline is the shield. His character is the empire. Why few achieve this? Most people never become unstoppable because they are addicted to being liked. They fear disapproval more than mediocrity. They fear discomfort more than weakness. They fear standing alone more than being forgotten. But greatness demands solitude. It demands you risk rejection. It demands you embrace discomfort until it becomes your ally. This is the price of influence. This is the cost of becoming someone others cannot break. The Stoics called this ataraxia, inner peace in the midst of chaos. It is not a gift, it is earned. Earned by relentless practice, ruthless self-honesty, and an unshakable commitment to excellence. Living as the unstoppable self. Here is what life looks like when you reach this level. Disrespect rolls off you because your value is not negotiable. Manipulation fails because your mind cannot be bribed or deceived. Failure strengthens you because you no longer fear starting over. Loneliness does not break you because you carry companionship within yourself. Criticism cannot wound you because you know who you are without their approval. This is not theory. This is a way of being, a daily discipline, a relentless choice to rise above impulses, to refuse to be controlled, and to master the only battlefield that matters, yourself. The final command, becoming unstoppable, is not a destination, it is a way of life. Every day, you either choose to strengthen the fortress or weaken it. Every day, you either feed the disciplined self or the fragile self. Every day, you decide whether to be ruled or to rule yourself. And here is the ultimate truth. Once you have tasted this state, There is no going back. Once you have learned how influence truly works, you cannot unlearn it. Once you become unstoppable, you cannot return to being stoppable. Affirmation: say it. Write it. Live it. I cannot be held back. I cannot be broken. I cannot be stopped. I am unstoppable. You've just walked through the battlefield of transformation, from uncertainty to unshakable confidence, from weakness to wisdom, from silence to unstoppable influence. And now you stand at the edge of a decision. The world will still try to test you. People will still try to limit you. Circumstances will still try to bend you. But the truth is this: nobody can hold you back, break you, or stop you unless you allow it. The Stoics remind us, no man is free who is not master of himself. Today, you've seen what self-mastery looks like. It looks like silence where others argue. It looks like discipline where others procrastinate. It looks like resilience where others collapse. From this moment forward, you are not the same person who clicked on this video. You've awakened a part of yourself that cannot be broken. You've lit a fire that cannot be put out. You've chosen a path where your influence is not begged, for it is commanded. So the real question is, will you walk forward